With the 33rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Keon Coleman, receiver, Florida State.
And he's a former Michigan Stater, being announced as the first player in Detroit, and this suffices for physical receiver, would you say?
Big physical. You see it on their power forward. Charles talked about getting a receiver to match your environment in Buffalo. He's going to be able to win with bodies all the way around him. After the catch, he can make people miss. He breaks tackles with his strength and even will show off the athleticism as a hurdler. Big time athlete. At the top of the route, again, it's physicality, it's strength. Marcus Colston was my comparison as someone who could be a big slot and just kind of big boy guys down the field. That big frame, that big body, just playing basketball, getting above the rim. CD, his catch reel is as acrobatic as any wide receiver in this draft class. If he would have ran a little bit faster, there's no way he gets there at this point in time for the Buffalo Bills.
But because he's big, strong, and physical, when he does run routes, you can't bump him off of them. So sometimes that makes up for a little bit of lack of speed. All right, time for a player comparison now, presented by Homes.com. We've done your homework, and I love your comp to Marcus Colston. Mine is Mike Williams, the high flyer when he was healthy with the Los Angeles Chargers. See that kind of a play in the end zone? Use the body. Daniel talked about it. Body a guy off. Go get the football. What did Mike Williams do so well? Bodies people up, no matter where he is on the field. Running the go route, having the strength to keep someone off of you, go over the top and catch. Joel, you made the point. Josh Allen's got to have that big, strong, physical guy to throw to. He's got a guy downfield. Environment's one thing, but those big receivers that are forgiving for Josh on the move, on the scramble, making those throws, paramount. And now he goes with the two tight ends who give him a lot of production downfield.
Okay, it's the big contested catch specialist, 6'3", guy who goes up and gets it, Bucky Brooks, and he is now going up and getting it from Josh Allen.
Yeah, this made the most sense for the Buffalo Bills because they were in need of a big-bodied playmaker on the outside. When we think about Josh Allen and how Josh Allen plays, you want someone that can expand the strike zone, especially down in the red zone, where this dude is a big-time playmaker. You talk about bean topping, taking the ball off the top of the defensive back's head. His film is littered with all of those plays. Fantastic player during his final season at Florida State. This is a nice selection for the Buffalo Bills.
Red, have you ever seen Cirque du Soleil? Have you ever been to a show?
I know what we're talking about, but no.
He's got catches littered. I mean, he is like one of those performers at Cirque du Soleil under the tents there flying around, only he's grabbing footballs instead of, ending up on a tricycle or whatever the case may be. Really fun to watch him play. He was a good player at Michigan State. They said, wait a minute now, we're going to go from the Big Ten. You're going to get a few more athletes over there in the ACC. He had no problems. Now, he's a 4'6", 140 guy, and he runs like it and plays like it. He's not going to be fast. But when it comes to contested catches, it comes to the highlight reel catches, it comes to just being a high-volume target. He's somebody who I think can come in right away and be a little bit more help for Josh Allen, and that's something you're looking for. Now, you don't want to base every pick on who can help us right now. The draft is a 3-5 year process minimum. Sure. So, there may be another player that's going to be better than Keon Coleman, but I get it. I get Keon Coleman here because he gives Josh Allen a big target with good, strong hands. And I like the pick here for Buffalo. It's not where I had him ranked, but it makes a lot of sense for Buffalo for what they need right now.
I think Red to get this, Marcus Colston. You remember what Marcus Colston did for the New Orleans Saints
great
for
call.
years in terms of being the big slot receiver.
Yeah, wasn't the fastest dude around.
Yeah, they found a way to match him up, and so I think Joe Brady spent some time in New Orleans, kind of being around the program. I think they can create a plan for Keon Coleman to get open to work the inside part of the field where he doesn't have to use his speed and quickness against corners. Mm-hmm. Maybe they move him inside and allow him to work against linebackers and safeties.
Well, look, and I think Josh Allen's going to love the catch radius.
Yep.
Throw it up and let's go get it when I'm making plays outside of the pocket. I don't have to uncover, right? Yeah. I can throw this thing up where Keon can go get it, come down with it, and you're manufacturing big plays that way, whereas Stephon Diggs was generating all that separation.
So we have a trade. The New England Patriots have traded the 34th pick to the Chargers. And with that 34th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chargers select Ladd McConkey, wide receiver,
there we go.
Georgia.
So they do go wide receiver, and Ladd McConkey's coming to Los Angeles.
I thought Ladd McConkey had a chance to hear his name called last night. His tape is impressive, and it wasn't just when you watched him when you were studying him. I almost noticed him more when I was watching all the corners in the SEC because I kept going through my notes. Great except against Georgia and McConkey. Really good except McConkey beat him. Struggled against McConkey. He is a big-time route runner with inside-outside flexibility. There is a route polish to his game that is as good as it gets in this draft class. In and out of breaks, very efficient, dropping his weight, creating separation, outstanding, reliable hands. The suddenness, this is not a quicker than fast wide receiver, which we love to say in scouting. He's got big-time juice, legitimate 4.3 speed to get on top of coverage. Here he is. Watch him go from a static stop position against the University of Florida and outrun everybody on the field. So that versatility, that route running polish, Justin Herbert lost a premier route runner in Keenan Allen. This is someone who can plug in on third downs and is going to be able to win one-on-one.
I just love his development from a guy who was a sophomore in high school. He was 5'6", 120 pounds, gets on the field, wasn't highly recruited, only the 121st ranked recruit in the state of Georgia, had offers from Army and Kent State. That's it. And guess what? Kirby Smart, season play basketball in high school, has a spot at the end of a recruiting class, offers him, and he goes there and he excelled. This guy is everything that DJ just said. He's also a great teammate, and he can own that middle of the field.
And he has played a game in SoFi Stadium. 2 touchdowns, 88 yards in the national championship.
That was
a contest, a football contest.
Yeah, that was a football.
88 yards, 2 touchdowns on that night that Georgia won against TCU.
And there we go. Wide receivers flying off the shelves here, Lance.
Love this pick for love it, really love it for the quarterback, because I think Justin Herbert now has a wide receiver who is going to make his life much more comfortable between the numbers. And that's something that, he's missing with the departure of Keenan Allen. That's going to be a problem. Ladd McConkey can get open from anywhere on the field. He is a terrific route runner. I know it sounds cliched, but it's true. He can break you off at the top of the route. He can get you off one way and take you the other way. You don't want to see him on a choice route because he's going to let you make the mistake and he's going to break right off.
Watch him outrun here. Watch how many Florida defenders he outruns when he stomps on one and turns in. They're all just trying to get there.
So there, Juicy was one of the names, and that means he's got the juice. He's got a lot of the elements of explosiveness, and he really does. I mean, he's an explosive athlete with good speed vertically. If you sleep on him, which a lot of people do, he's going to be by you. You cannot make the mistake of just thinking you're going to sit down on his routes, Bucky, because he will take you vertical if you and he's got a quarterback that can take advantage of that too.
Can absolutely take advantage of it. I think Jim Harbaugh is putting a stamp on this team in terms of just the toughness factor. The one thing that you can't deny, when Ladd McConkey came in studio and he talked about the Georgia Bulldogs and the practice and being prepared to play at the next level because of how they get after it. Well, Michigan got after it. And Jim Harbaugh, every place he's done, he believes in getting after it. He wants guys that embrace that style, that aura. Great pick because the player and his character matches the culture of the program that Jim Harbaugh is going to create.
It's a guy who played quarterback, a little bit of dual threat quarterback in high school and became one of the best route technicians in college football in short order for the national champions. There was a big part of those 2 back-to-back runs. Here are your trade details. Chargers trade 37 and a fourth in exchange for 34 and a fifth.
The Arizona Cardinals have traded their 35th pick to the Atlanta Falcons. With that 35th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Orhorhoro. Let's go ahead.
All right, so Andre's hooked on phonics. And we got a twitchy defensive tackle out of Clemson going to Atlanta.
Yeah, Orhorhoro, best name in the draft. Scooby-Doo. Very twitchy, very explosive. A 1.67 10 time at the combine, which was the second best among interior defensive linemen. I had him a little bit lower than this because I thought there was work to be done. He's a raw player. You see those tools, the explosiveness, but just trying to get a better sense, a better feel for the game. Defeating blocks, finishing plays, those are areas that he can improve on. But Joel, when you watch him play, the explosiveness jumps off the screen.
Well, and every quarterback in these clips is saying, "Ruh-roh," as this guy breaks through. He also has got a great background in terms of who he played for. Nick Eason is the defensive line coach there at Clemson. He played and coached in the NFL.
So one night after Atlanta gives us the mystery machine, we now get the Orhorhoro. Somebody had to do it.
I'm going to be honest, that's not bad. But Orhorhoro, go ahead. This is your job.
Orhorhoro.
Are we sure?
Orhorhoro. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Row your boat.
Row your boat, baby.
So this feels early for him, but it wouldn't have last year. In his 2022 tape, I thought he was terrific, a lot of upside. Felt like he just kind of coasted. You know, sometimes you go back and then you maybe regret it. You say, man, I wish I was out playing pro ball right now doing that. And I felt like he kind of cruised this year, but the 22 tape shows who he's got a chance to be. He's very twitchy off the ball. He's got good strength for his size. He can play 5 technique. He can play 4-eye. He can play 3 technique. He can even play some on the nose if you need him to get off the ball and make some things happen. I think he's still a little unpolished and inconsistent at the point of attack, Bucky, but the talent is there. Right now, what you're doing is he's a better run defender for me than Johnny Newton. So I think this is really about finding a guy that you think is maybe a complete player, where Newton is maybe a little better pass rusher.
Yeah, 12 sacks in his collegiate career at 294 pounds at the combine, runs a 4.89 40-yard dash. Some athleticism there from the defensive tackle position.
With the 36th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select DeJean Newton, defensive tackle, Illinois.
All right, so
Let's
Johnny Newton goes
Thank
to
you
D.C.
all. Detroit, we love you.
And time for the Fam Cam, presented by Rocket Mortgage, showing Johnny Newton's celebration in Orlando, Florida.
Well, this is tremendous value. This is someone I thought was going to for sure go in the first round, my 25th overall player, and a player who took over games. You can watch entire games and you'll wonder, they have no chance against him. If they're one-on-one, you don't stand a chance. They had to help him at the collegiate level to be able to control him. His hands are outstanding. The torque and power is there. And there's guys who can win, and there's guys who can finish. He does both. You look at his ability to get off the ball. I use that word springy because he just explodes in his get off. The ability to flatten, close, and finish. Excellent. Once he gets to the top of his rush as an interior rusher, it's over early in the down. If you don't get your hands on him, it's over quickly, and that is the most disruptive way for an offense when you have to deal with a guy like this who gets that interior pressure. Just a very talented, very gifted player. I did not envision being there. I did not envision him being the second defensive tackle to go tonight, CD, and he joins a defensive tackle room in Washington that's pretty darn loaded.
We're talking about Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and remember, Washington had that great defensive front, but now Montez Sweat is gone, Chase Young is gone, so now you got to go chase Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott in Dallas. Saquon Barkley's going to run the football in Philadelphia. Those extra defensive tackles in rotation, they don't hurt, Joel.
Every offensive coordinator in the Big Ten just would watch him and say, how do we deal with Newton? And also doesn't take special teams off. 4 blocked kicks last year.
It's not an offensive tackle, but it is a defensive tackle here, Bucky. And look, we thought first-round potential here with Johnny Newton ends up being a pretty dang good value to Washington.
Oh, absolutely great value. And this is the convergence of Adam Peters and Dan Quinn making this pick.
Yes.
You have Adam Peters, who believes in building the front line, and Dan Quinn, who loves working with those big guys up front. Johnny Newton has a lot of tools to work with. Quick, explosive, great hand skills, technique, guy plays hard, and that is a talent for me. This is an A1 player. I am surprised that he's available in the second round. The Commanders got to go one.
Might have a little interior disruption like Dan Quinn saw with Michael Bennett up there in Seattle.
Yeah, and you see
style, but
you see the sack numbers. I mean, it's really impressive. He is a very good rusher. I think against the run, he needs to work on, from a technical standpoint, he's going to have to work on some things. But he's got help over there in Washington. They know how to play interior line football. So what you've done now is you've added a guy with real rush. I mean, real rush from the interior, which is not something you see a lot around the NFL now. So many sub packages come into play, but he's somebody who can play all 3 downs and go get the quarterback. So good pick, good football player, makes sense. Now we've seen 2 tackles off the board. Yep. Braden Fisk is another defensive tackle the teams could be looking at. Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State. Is this where teams go, we got a little tackle run going if teams get frisky again? But 2 very good cornerbacks still on the board.
With the 37th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, my New England Patriots select Jalen Polk, receiver, Washington.
Wow. They went out and got a physical wide receiver. We're seeing a little bit of a theme here in terms of the style to put in place here with a young quarterback, Jalen Polk. You see the size there, inside, outside. He's a jump ball winner. That's what he does above everything else, playing in that loaded receiver room with Rome Odunze as well as McMillan, who will see his name called before too long. Excellent concentration, excellent hands down the field. Joel, when I watched him, I didn't always see a ton of separation. There was some concern and some questions about his speed. He ran faster than I anticipated at 4.52, but he wins a lot of contested balls.
He could use a little more polish in his route running, there's no doubt, but that spot at Washington was opened up when Puka Nacua went to BYU. He left Texas Tech, speaking of Polk, found his home there at Washington, and boy, when he and Rome Odunze were lined up on that same side in that stack set, boy, fireworks.
And think of how good it is that he wins contested balls. Rookie quarterback coming in, make more plays for him and make those receptions happen.
Okay, so there it is. The second of the terrific trio of wide receivers in Washington is off the board. It was Rome Odunze at 9, Buck. Now it's Jalen Polk here at 37 to the Patriots.
Oh, Peter Schrager was on it. Like he was on it. He was trying to put him in that first round.
Was.
So Jalen Polk is another fantastic playmaker that we've seen get busy. Michael Penix was throwing all over the yard at UW, and everyone thought it was Rome Odunze. But they had a talented collection of playmakers, and Jalen Polk is one. This is a guy that is just crafty, kind of sneaky on the other side. I believe Steve Smith privately made a great comp when he talked about Jalen Polk. He compared him to T.J. Hushmanzada.
Championship.
Yeah, he said that's
T.J.
right.
Hushmanzada. He talked about how this guy's the perfect complement when you have someone on the other side. And when I look at the Patriots and what they've traditionally done, they haven't done it with a bunch of number ones going all the way back. A bunch of complementary pieces that get it done. We will see if he can grow with Drake May to give the Patriots a dynamic offense down the road.
You know, he was an explosive leaper, and it shows up on tape at the combine. He jumped 37.5, like a 10.9 broad jump.
Yep.
Really explosive jumps. But you see it on tape, too. And I think some of the things that I saw on tape from Michael Penix that made me have a little bit of pause about his NFL future was that he had these jump ball warriors out there. And you see two of them are already gone, in the first 35 picks, 37 picks of the draft. So
and after Rome Odunze led all college football receivers in receiving yards, there was still room for Jalen Polk to gather 1,100 receiving yards.
With the 38th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Trayvondre Sweat from the University of Texas, nose guard.
Yeah, this is a mammoth human being. You see the weight there, 366 pounds. This is someone who can really clog the run lanes with his big frame. You hear a lot of attention on him this year. When scouts got in and studied him, they liked Byron Murphy better. You saw Byron Murphy go off the board. But Sweat is just a massive human being who can push the pocket with that power, put that weight and that size to work, and just walk centers and guards back. I don't believe he's a big-time pass rusher. You see flashes of it, like this one against TCU. This was a very polarizing player.
Vic Sweat? Well, I mean, this is DWI case pending.
Yep.
Weight issues, questions about his maturity. But if you want to just look on the tape and put a grade on him, he had late first-round grade.
Yeah.
Trayvondre Sweat is a drain clogger. I just love that term because it's so you want the water to go, but you just can't. It's just nowhere for it to go.
That left guard's not the Drano.
And so, there were rumors that Kansas City also liked him. And I thought, ooh, you put him next to Chris Jones. My goodness. Now we've got him next to Jeffrey Simmons. And so you see what they're trying to do now is basically saying this is a no-fly zone between the tackles. You won't be coming in here if you're the Tennessee Titans. And once you do that, you are able to really create you're able to force offenses to do things they don't necessarily want to do. They have to react to what you've got in the middle. I think the real concern here is that he played way too heavy during the season. He's gained well over 100 pounds since he's been at Texas, and it's not all been good weight. But he is an athletic big man. He's really talented, has great hands, is a better rusher than you expect him to. And if you can get him motivated and you can keep him really focused on football and get the weight down a little bit and keep him steady at about 350 pounds, we're talking about somebody who could have an enormous impact in the middle of that defense, Bucky, and in that division.
So this tells me that Rand Carthon is the one that is moving and shaking all of this stuff. Yeah. When we thought about Brian Callahan coming over, we were thinking about all of the stuff. Hey, they're going to throw it all over the yard, Will Levis and that. And maybe we got fooled because of free agency. They went and got Calvin Ridley. This is a meat and potatoes draft that the Tennessee Titans have executed. You talk about being big up front. J.C. Latham, we're going to mash him at the point of attack, and then Devondre Sweat coming over. This is about just making sure they got a bunch of heavyweights that can get this done.
The Carolina Panthers have traded the 39th pick to the Los Angeles Rams. With the 39th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Brandon Fisk, Florida State, D tackle. We got 2 Seminoles in the house now.
He's referring to Jared Verse being the first-round choice of last night. They add Braden Fisk to the mix.
Yeah, and they're very close friends as well. This is a polar opposite player of the one we just saw go off the board in Devondre Sweat. When you watch Fisk, he is explosive. You saw it at the combine with how he tested. He can really get up the field. He can roll through his hips at the point of attack, get off blocks, and make plays. He does not have length, doesn't have long arms, but he didn't play that way. He didn't play short-armed when you studied him. Very physical. The effort is outstanding. He never stops working towards the quarterback. When I was watching tape, this is one of my favorite plays against Clemson. He's late to run on the field. He's literally sprinting onto the field as they snap the ball. And I'm sitting here going, okay, what's he going to do? Oh, he just destroys somebody as he's running onto the field. So if you're going to be late to the party, make your entrance known.
That's right. Apparently that wasn't legal. We just saw there was a flag on the play right
like
there.
He's Nuke LaLoosh announced his presence with authority.
I was thinking the exact same thing. One thing about him, too, not just the effort player. He's much more than that. But don't put the effort aside. The best retrace guy in the game in college football, where he would rush the passer, retrace back to where a play is going to develop, screens, swings, plays downfield, and make plays on the football. Absolutely incredible. And what he did at the Senior Bowl, switching teams on the last day and playing all the plays, he's that guy.
So rekindling the connection, Braden Fisk joining Jared Verse, where they wreaked havoc on ACC offensive lines this last year once they got together. Both transferred in from smaller programs and excelled at the highest level. What do you got on Fisk here, Lance?
Well, to me, he reminds me a lot of Kyle Williams. Remember the great Kyle Williams out of LSU who played with the Buffalo Bills. He was somebody who could get into the backfield. It just was just a problem. He came from the MAC, and he got tired of the MACtion, so he went over to the ACC and was completely too much for the interior blockers there. He's off the ball in a snap. He is always looking for the edge and finding ways to get around your block. He's a short-armed defensive tackle, which can be an issue at times, but because he's so quick off the snap, he's usually first man into contact. I think there will be some issues from a size standpoint against NFL offensive guards, but just his pure effort, his motor, and his foot quickness is going to make him a very, very difficult player to deal with along the interior for many of the players he matches up with. And I like pairing these two guys back together. I like the idea of pairing Verse back with Braden Fisk. They didn't lose a game this year when they played together. Not one game. Of course, they didn't play against Georgia. We write that one off. We don't talk about that one. But when they played together, I mean, they wreaked havoc, and that was a special defense to watch. And he's a really good football player. I was kind of hoping to get greedy that my hometown Texans would be able to land Fisk, but that will not be happening.
Okay, so the Philadelphia Eagles have acquired the 40th pick in the draft.
And the Washington Commanders have traded the 40th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. And with the 40th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Cooper DeJean, DB, Iowa. Let's go.
Okay, so the Fam Cam presented by Rocket Mortgage shows Cooper DeJean in Iowa celebrating the moment. He is a Philadelphia Eagle, and Howie Roseman, I guess, decided to hit his secondary here in his first couple picks in Detroit.
Well, when you look at it, Rich, last year the Philadelphia Eagles 31st in passing yards per game, 31st in third down defense, 31st in points per game, 30th in the red zone. They had some work to do. And you go out and get the number one corner, in my opinion, or the number two corner, in my opinion, in Quinyon Mitchell. They just got the number three corner. and Cooper DeJean, who could also play inside as the nickel or could slide back eventually and play some safety. Think about Malcolm Jenkins, who made that transition from college to the NFL, a similar type player. You see this inside experience, excellent instincts to undercut routes and make plays on the football. The angles, as a tackler, he's outstanding. Takes outstanding angles, gets guys on the ground with force. He's a big physical guy, and in the return game, we mentioned this with him yesterday, if he were to go, the change in the return rules benefit someone like Cooper DeJean. He'll get on the field not only and play downs 1 through 3, he'll get some work on 4th downs as well on special teams.
Yeah, we already know he had the punt return ability. Now he might add kickoff return to it. But my comparison is the name that you mentioned, Malcolm Jenkins, for all the reasons you articulated, Daniel. This is a young man that wants to stay out on the corner. Malcolm Jenkins wanted to stay out on the corner when he came out of Ohio State. But as it turned out, his value, his best play, started to go inside, which a lot of people see with Cooper DeJean. You see the vision there to see the ball go to him because he was able to clue into the quarterback, see the ball out of his hands, and the errant throw ends up in his arms. He returns it. Malcolm Jenkins had the same type of ability. Sees the play in front of him, goes for it, takes it, and goes the other way. Tackling ability, toughness, smart, all of that is there. The Malcolm Jenkins comparison, I think, is very apt.
I had a mock taking Cooper DeJean at 22 overall here, Bucky. They end up getting the top corner on the board in Quinion Mitchell, then come back and get arguably the 3rd best corner in the draft in Cooper DeJean in the 2nd round.
You can say 3rd best corner. I think he's the best nickel defender in this draft class. This dude is terrific. Fantastic playmaker, versatile, can play anywhere in the secondary, does it with flair, great ball skills, plays with tremendous technique, and you talk about an A1 athlete. I'll call him to the Catholic League. He can do so many different things in the back end, and when you throw in with his return skills, I mean, you talk about a 3-in-1 player that you get in Cooper DeJean with a high IQ, perfect fit in Vic Fangio's defense.
Catholic? Did you just bring up like Dan O'Brien, Dan versus Dave?
Dan
remember that?
Dave, yeah. That's what I'm glad the 3 of us remember that. Yeah. But and he's also a really talented basketball player. Recently, they asked him if he was in high school, and we'll see here in a second. You'll see just how athletic he is.
There it is.
Watch this. I went and searched
Caitlin
dunks.
Caitlin Clark, some buck.
Told her he was going to give her work, but
get some of this.
I don't know about that.
I got to finish that.
Okay.
Work on that.
Hold on.
She got some down stuff.
He's making it look easy, isn't it?
You got to remember now, this dude.
This is all high school stuff.
High school stuff.
Yeah. He won the state long jump.
At
Iowa.
Let's go.
I mean, he has, I think it was over 23.
NFL teams love track athletes. They love guys with track backgrounds, don't they?
Vertical 38.5, broad 10 forward his pro day after the recovery from the broken leg that he suffered. The big-time return ability, multiple touchdowns off pick six, off interceptions, punt returns.
Everything, well school. Just look at Iowa and the tradition they have of putting guys in the league. Micah Hyde played there. Think about just the players that have come from that program that have played well. And it makes sense because Kirk Ferentz, NFL pedigree, like it.
Okay, so Cooper DeJean joins Quinion Mitchell.
The Green Bay Packers have traded the 41st pick to the New Orleans Saints, and with the 41st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Kool-Aid McKinstry, DB, Alabama.
Well, it looks like Mardi Gras got a new drink. They're going to mix some Kool-Aid in there, and McKinstry is taking his game to the bayou.
Yeah, he's a very smooth, efficient mover. There are times where you see this. He'll keep his hands a little bit low. I think once he gets his hands on people, you're going to see even a better player because his mirror and match skills are excellent. There's no panic down the field. Patient, then is able to turn, look, locate the football down the field. Working downhill, he is tough. He will put his face in the fan and make tackles. You see it again here in run support. They're going to love this in New Orleans. He's got a lot of want to with the way he plays the game. There were some rough moments in that Texas game against those high-flying wide receivers early in the season, but his complete body of work, I thought, warranted first-round consideration. I believe they got a first-round caliber player here at pick number 41.
Came in as the number one corner in the recruiting cycle in 2021 and got on the field right away in a Nick Saban secondary. Started 6 games as a true freshman. You touched on it being so technically sound, but also this guy is very athletic. Could have played basketball at Alabama. Talked to Nate Oates coach, their basketball coach, about actually playing both sports for the Tide before settling on football. But this is a guy that did not get a pass interference call last year in 2023. Think about that. In that league, those aggressive offenses, those quality wide receivers, and he was able to go through the whole season with no pass interference.
And don't forget this about him too. When you talk about playing with Kool-Aid McKinstry and being able to be opposite Terrion Arnold and not have the jealousy when Arnold passed him up as being that guy, just comes and goes to work. Have found the foot fracture on him at the combine, but he gets a chance now to go to New Orleans and do his thing.
Okay, here it is. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback we thought could go in the first, ends up going at 41 to the Green Bay Packers.
He's got good size. He's got pretty good speed. I think what you really love about him is he can play multiple coverages. So if you want him up under your chin, and that's Alabama football, he's going to be able to play whatever coverages you need. I think the thing that separates him and Terrion Arnold is he's not always as good at playing the football. He'll play receiver a little bit more than football, and sometimes he doesn't always trust his eyes to fire off and trigger on some of the throws. But he's a tough tackler, and for me, I think that he is going to be steady Eddie throughout the game. I think he's somebody who's not going to get you beat. I don't know that he's going to make a ton of plays on the ball or have a bunch of interception numbers and production, but I think he's going to be solid out there for most reps.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Mickey Loomis was asked at his pre-draft press conference if there was still some consideration to trading Marshawn Lattimore, a relationship that seems to be a little strained after a phenomenal start to his career. On Kool-Aid McKinstry, though, let's get a player comparison now, Bucky Brooks, presented by Pizza Hut.
Well, I like Pizza Hut, and so I think everyone's going to like this comparison. Joey Porter Jr. I think it's ironic. Joey Porter Jr. was a second-round pick, but a lot of similarities. The length, the ability to play with toughness and tenacity at the point of attack. A guy that's more comfortable in bump and run than he is in off coverage. And Joey Porter Jr. played outstanding for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a rookie. Came right in, settled in after kind of slowly working his way into the lineup the first handful of weeks, but got into the mix and became their number one corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry could take a similar path when he goes to New Orleans. Very solid and dependable, reliable, well-schooled, well-taught by Nick Saban down in Alabama.
Big time picks here for the Saints that fill some massive needs. Talisa Fuanga at number 14 overall in the first round, the tackle from Oregon State, and now a cornerback to go along with guys that they have drafted recently, Paulson Adebo, and the Cookie Monster from Tennessee, Alontae Taylor. There it is.
With the 42nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Kamari Lassiter, defensive back, Georgia.
So we're seeing a run on defensive backs here.
Yeah, and this is a nickel. Day one starter at the next level. Did not run the 40 time he wanted, running in the low 4.6s. But when you watch him on tape, you see someone who's very tough and very instinctive. Here he is in press man coverage. Look at him stay right on the hip, turn, locate the football, poke the ball away. Very patient, very fluid. Here he is against Xavier Legette. Always under control. He might not run the fastest as you'd want, but he's always in great position. He can cover up for some of that lack of speed because of the instincts. And again, the toughness, it's been a theme on this run of corners we've seen go lately. This is another one. Again, very physical, very aggressive.
Christian Harris, the second-round pick himself, announcing the pick of Kamari Lassiter, the next second-rounder headed to Houston here, Lance.
Well, there's another nickel cornerback, and Kamari Lassiter, he didn't run great. As you can see, the 4.6, 4.40, but Houston will throw some zone coverages out there. Look, what DeMeco Ryans wants is a very tough run supporter as well. This is somebody with really good feet. He's not the fastest player, but you'll see on tape he makes a lot of plays. So I think he has a great understanding of what his weaknesses are, how to counter them, and how to crowd wide receivers down the field. The other thing you see right there is his change of direction. He has quick start and stop, good start and stop feet. It showed up on his three-cone drills and on his the pro shuttle. So that's something you look for, Bucky. If the feet aren't fast in the 40-yard dash, if you don't have a great 40-yard dash, you want to see the fast feet and see if he can transition into nickel, and that's exactly what we saw.
That is what we saw, and I think if you go back and you look at the Missouri game, you had an opportunity to see him play nickel corner. Did a great job locking up and playing there. The things that show up on tape: physicality, toughness, high IQ. This is a guy that kind of fits what the Houston Texans have been able to do under DeMeco Ryans.
With the 43rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Max Melton, defensive back, Rutgers.
There's another defensive back.
Yeah, if you want your defensive back, you better go get them because they are running off the board here. Speaking of running, Max Melton, ultra twitched up and explosive. You go back to his workout, ran 4.39, jumped 40.5 inches with an 11.4 broad jump. So the athleticism is all there. The ball skills, you see him here lean back into the wide receiver and go ahead and finish that with an interception down the field. Off coverage, plant and drive. This is, again, you see that burst, the explosiveness once he gets his foot in the ground and goes. And you don't play at Rutgers unless you're tough. He is a very tough physical player. He's a little bit raw, guys. There's moments, you saw it the Michigan game against Roman Wilson, struggle a little bit there. But man, he has got so much ability in his body. He's only going to get better.
Can play inside and out. That toughness is because of his head coach at Rutgers, Greg Schiano, who's got an outstanding track record of developing defensive backs, and he's got great ball production. 8 interceptions, 30 pass breakups in his career.
You called it there, Bucky. Big Leonard Davis is the announcer of the pick, and Max Melton had a nice Senior Bowl week, goes to the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is a really solid player, really impressive throughout the process. When you watch him at the Senior Bowl, you love the competitiveness, the feistiness that he played with. Then you go back and watch his tape from Rutgers, and you just see this guy make play after play after play. And what I loved about him is just his willingness to challenge receivers on the perimeter. Not afraid to go nose-to-nose, bump and run, but can play from off. Just a competitive stamina that he showed, being able to take on that number one receiver, I think is going to serve him well when he steps into the NFC West.
He's a great tester, tested really, really well at the Combine, which I think pushed his stock up. When you watch him on tape, you watch him at the Senior Bowl, what stands out is the way that he competes. Like, he is very aggressive. Everything he does, he doesn't always win the reps. Like, you'll see him lose and he makes some mistakes. He gets a little inefficient. He kind of plays a little extra energy sometime that can do him in from time to time. But never going to see a lack of effort, and he's always going to play with a great motor. So this is a really, really fun pick because he's such a high motor, traitsy player.